Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It is, I guess, Wednesday of December.
Random day.
Yeah, it's a random day we're going to be doing this. This is not a typical Cup of Sass episode. For those who might be wondering what this is going to be our Halo Infinite Spoilercast discussion. And the reason why this won't be on the Cup of Sass podcast is because, well, as you noticed, Mika's not here with us for this episode. And we're not necessarily... Yeah, she said, fuck, I'm not doing the podcast anymore.
Fuck this podcast.
Fuck this podcast. I'm out. But yeah, so we're basically feigning for making this a Cup of Sass episode because we want to make sure that if we do a Cup of Sass episode, the gang is here when we talk about this. We'll probably do this again in the future when Mika's played the game, obviously, and we can talk about it then. But right now, while the ideas and the game is still somewhat fresh in our minds, we felt this was a good time for us to talk about it on our own. So.
Yeah, and maybe our opinions will like kind of change maybe when we talk about it.
Yeah,
when we're three people talking about it.
Exactly, when they finally added co-op to the game. Whoops.
Oh yeah, that's going to be a huge plus to the game.
Yeah, it's the entire launch of Infinite has been a very questionable thing at the end of the day. But anyways,
a little bit.
As you may be hearing, that is Penguin on the fly with me, my good friend and co-host here. So he's going to be joining me for this episode since we both play the game. We wanted to have an avenue to sit down and talk about the ideas and the gameplay and just everything about Halo Infinite while we still have it fresh in our minds. So, with that said, I'm going to kick us off by asking the first question, which is, how did you feel about the overall feel of the gameplay for Halo Infinite as opposed to all the other games in the series?
Compared or on its own?
I would say compared. Yeah, I would compare.
It definitely feels more Halo-ish than I guess the other titles from 343.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can only speak about 4 because I haven't played Guardians, and I guess I won't because I'm on an Xbox and it's not coming out on PC for some reason.
Yeah, which is really weird.
Yeah,
man. Yeah,
it's weird. I would play it. I would buy it just to have all the games. But
yeah,
that's another topic. I think it feels more Halo-ish, more back to the roots than at least Halo 4 from my experience.
Mm-hmm.
Like the art, the graphic style is closer to the original ones. The world design is very reminiscent of Halo 1, Combat Evolved the second level.
Yes,
it is,
absolutely.
It's basically just that level on a larger scale.
Yeah, that's the way I described it during a stream. And I'm like, this game is basically the arriving on Halo mission ballooned out into an entire game, essentially. So yeah,
because it basically is. The side missions basically are the same because you have that on a small scale on that level.
Yeah.
It just feels like a huge ass level 2 of Halo 1.
Mm-hmm.
I really like the gameplay. Like the gunplay and everything feels super smooth. And I was a bit worried about the grappling hook beforehand, but it definitely is a good addition to the game. I really loved using that one.
Yeah.
Even though I wish it would have been a bit longer sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, you have this like, oh, it's just an inch missing probably.
Yeah.
I would have needed for this.
Yeah, like I noticed that too. There were several times where I tried to grapple to something and I was just maybe a couple of inches too short when trying to reach it. And I had that happen a few times when trying to use it. So yeah, I know that feel that you experienced as well.
Yeah, but overall, I think it is a good step in the right direction. But as we'll probably elaborate in this podcast a bit more, it is there's still some lackluster parts. Let's just leave it at that for now.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I kind of agree. There are some missteps that we'll probably talk about later on, for sure. But yeah, overall, I definitely agree. It feels like a Halo game in comparison to all the other games, obviously in the franchise. I will say, having played those games again recently, I want to say back in October, noticing the differences here is definitely a lot more stark. And the contrast is definitely there. I would say this one is definitely a lot more responsive. The movement and stuff like that. As somebody who's played Guardians as well, it definitely feels a lot snappier, even than Guardians did. Without the thrusters and stuff like that Guardians had, obviously, which you have by default.
Oh, they had it in that game already. Okay.
Yeah, you had it by default. It was like a thing that was just built into the armor at that point. You could just do it whenever you wanted to. This game, obviously, it's an armor ability, but in that game, it was something you had on by default.
Could you spam it, or was it on a cooldown as well?
It was on a cooldown as well. Like, you couldn't spam it. Like, if you were like moving to the side, you can kind of boost to the side and stuff like that and do side dashes. But that was about. You could also do forward dashes as well, but there was a bit of a cooldown where you couldn't keep spamming it back to back over and over again.
It'll be OP.
Yeah, that'd be very OP. But yeah, there's a little bit of a boost to it and stuff like that you could do as well. And I'm guessing that because that ability was so contentious in Guardians, that instead of making it a built-in or an endemic function to the suit, they just turned it into an ability that you can decide to use whenever you want to, if you want to use it. Which honestly I think was probably the best way to go, to find that happy middle ground for people who thought that it makes you a little too OP in the game, and people that thought like, I actually like the boost, put it in the game, I like the movement. But yeah, that was good of them to do that. The grappling hook as well, like I said, I agree. It's a very welcome addition to the game 100%, as I found myself just grappling around most of the environment to get around things much faster instead of just walking or sprinting. And like you said, sometimes it does feel a little too short, where you end up missing a lot of objects in the environment because you think it's going to reach and it doesn't quite get there. I've had that happen a few times as well.
Like, especially at first when I didn't completely understand mountain climbing. Like,
yeah.
You could basically just spam the grapple hook, but at first it was like trying to time it and stuff like that. So
yeah.
That's when I was like, oh, this shit is too short.
Yeah, and even more so like when you actually get the upgrades to it, when you get the faster cooldown on it.
That's what I did it. Like the first thing I maxed, basically.
Yeah.
Like, I need to, because I'm going to use this all the time. I need to max this right away.
Yeah, same. That was one of the first things I went to as well. And as me, because I played the game on heroic for my first playthrough, which may have been a mistake. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess maybe. I started normal and then I replayed it on heroic. So
yeah.
I'm not touching legendary for now. Maybe at some point in co-op, but not on my own.
I am currently in the process of a legendary playthrough, and that's a boy, that is a different thing entirely. But I'll talk about that a little bit later, maybe. But yeah, overall, I would say this game is definitely a lot snappier than the previous entries for sure. And we've had time to play it with the multiplayer that launched, like almost a month in advance before Infinite came out.
There was like a phase where you could get accustomed to the gameplay, basically.
Exactly. So like if you've played a lot of that, then this should be easy to ease into, essentially. So it all just felt very familiar at the end of the day. I did like how responsive the enemies were to getting shot in the game. One of my biggest gripes with a lot of first-person shooters and shooters in general these days is that enemies don't react to getting shot consistently, where they'll kind of just tank through everything a little bit before they react. Especially in shooter RPGs, like let's say not Destiny, but
those are notorious for it.
Yeah, like the Division, for example, which is notorious for not allowing enemies to react like that. So seeing a game be this responsive, and Destiny is kind of the case of it being like one of the best examples of a game that's responsive when you shoot. It feels like this kind of took some nods from that, because when you shoot a brute, like regardless of how big and tanky they are, you're going to see a reaction to them getting shot somehow, right? Especially the ones that are charging at you and you shoot them, they kind of slow down a little bit and react to getting shot. You see that a lot as well. So I definitely think that was an improvement on that part, and they capitalized on that for sure.
Is it? I'm not sure right now. Is it only when you kill their shields and then they usually react to it, or do they just rush through it when their shields are up? When their shields are up,
they can kind of tank through it, but you do still see a little bit of a reaction to them getting shot, even with the shield up. Like they might stagger a little bit, they might stumble a little bit. Sometimes that happens as well, but the bigger reactions don't happen until the ones that have shields are down, like the elites, for example. Like they'll tank through that a lot up until their shield goes down. Obviously the grunts, the jackals, and stuff like that, which the grappling hook kind of solves the problem of jackal shields, right? You can just grapple the shield away from them and just pop them.
Once you find out how to deal with them, it's pretty neat. As you could just brush a shield to the side and then just headshot them.
Yeah,
really quick.
Yeah, that's probably one of the best things I've seen so far. And I kind of like the thing where the jackals kind of like turn their shield sideways and hold their gun over the little slot in the shield.
It was way easier to aim for their hands.
Yeah. It was like, okay, I see what you guys are trying to do here. That was kind of cool as well. So there's like, you see the same enemies throughout the game, but they've definitely added new twists to them and added a bit more flavor to how they fight you in the game, as opposed to the other Halo titles as well. So overall, the gameplay
shit talk a lot.
Oh yeah, they do. I
like it.
I like how they shit talk sometimes, but also how they'll shit talk and then they'll make a mistake when they're shit talking, and they'll end up dissing themselves sometimes.
Yep.
That was pretty funny as well. So there's a lot of like flavor to this game as opposed to the other titles as well, which I thought was pretty good. So yeah, overall, I would definitely say the gameplay for Halo Infinite is up there for sure, without a doubt. And like you said, it's basically the second mission of the first game ballooned out into an entire game, for which I would say for better or worse. And it's kind
yes, sometimes unfortunately it's for worse.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead. You can say what you want to say about what you think about that too.
Yeah, I guess we can just go into the open world aspect at this point because it just leads into it. I was curious how they're going to do this open world thing, and in my opinion, they could have done way better in the grand scheme of things, because the side missions were very repetitive.
Yeah.
Once you've done them, like for one time, like each basically each category of side mission, you've done them all. It was basically minor variations, maybe just like positioning stuff, but it was basically every time it was the same thing. And I did them all in my first playthrough, but it started to feel like work a bit.
Yeah.
And the open world in itself, it looks beautiful, but there's not much going on. It's like there's very little incentive to explore. I felt like that, at least, because I hope they would actually like maybe put an optional kind of dungeon or installment in there that you could just stumble across and be like, oh, what is this? Let's go in, and then you have this whole hour-long exploration going on. Maybe find something cool in there, because there's tons of lore on Zeta Halo, right?
Right.
There would have been definitely an option to do that. And in an open world, nowadays, that's kind of expected, in my opinion.
You would think so.
Something like that. Yeah. But there was nothing. So I just rushed to the markers every time, and then just didn't explore at all after a while. At first, I tried to, but I didn't come across anything that was worth noting. So I was like, okay, yeah, this open world is probably pretty dead. There's a few animals here and there that you can see, but it's not really that immersive, I guess.
Yeah. Actually, I kind of agree with that. Like, you tend to find like a lot of the indoor areas which will contain things like, I don't know, like a weapon or something like that the Forerunners had. But for the most part, like, those are just super enclosed one space areas where you can find a Spartan core in them on occasion and stuff like that. Because when I played, I kind of did a lot of the item gathering and upgrade gathering. So I went around and got a lot of the Spartan cores and got all the weapons from the high value targets. That was kind of the gist of the reason to explore for the most part, right? Unless you found like the data logs and stuff like that as well. But most of the time, those were just out there in the open for you to find randomly, right? Yeah. So there wasn't a lot of like enclosed areas where you can go in and really explore and find like new shit or find new enemies or find new lore. Like, none of that was there for an open world game.
Did you actually use the weapons that you got from the targets?
I used maybe one or two of them, I would say, that I thought were pretty decent, like the improved Mauler, I guess, whatever it's called.
I think.
Yeah.
Is that I used that one too, the white mangler.
Yeah, the mangler. Yeah, I used that one as well. The I think I used the improved spiker, the one that explodes. The voltaic spiker, I believe it's called. You get that one as well from, I forgot what enemy that gets to. Oh, and the
do you mean the skewer or?
Oh yeah, the skewer. Yeah, I don't want to call it spiker.
I was like, what is the spiker?
Yeah, the skewer, the improved skewer. Thank you. I'm like,
I used that for a bit as well. I think.
Yeah, and then
that's basically it though. I used an improved energy sword too for a while, but
I did too. Yeah.
I felt like those weapons really don't have that much sense in this game anymore, because if the grappling hook gets way faster, and then you can just melee them with your improvements.
Yeah, that too. And I think I also used the homing rocket launcher that you get as well, which one of the brutes has, one of the high value targets has, which, playing on heroic, that fight was kind of a pain in the ass. Trying to get that from them, because obviously they can lock on whenever they fire a rocket, that shit locks onto you immediately. And the amount of damage you take in heroic and legendary is like, you can't take a lot of damage, or else you're gonna die when your shield is gone.
Yeah, it's a lot. You die quick.
You die real quick. So that was a little bit of a pain in the ass. And obviously, my playthrough I kind of streamed as well. For those that are listening to this on YouTube or watching this on YouTube, you'll be seeing those playthrough videos, those live streams coming out slowly over the course of the next couple of weeks. But I did struggle in that one spot because of that homing rocket launcher, and I think I broke the game at one point where I think he blew himself off a ledge,
What?
and I couldn't find him anymore, but he wasn't dead.
Oh man.
So I think it was about a good like maybe 5 or so minutes before he officially just died on his own, and then I finished that high value target. That was pretty funny as well. There's a few bugs in the game for sure.
There is a few bugs.
Yeah.
I just clipped through the map a few times, maybe like 10 times in my first playthrough. I just clipped through the map.
Yep. And I had a brute that fell to the earth and was stuck in the ground, and I could see his head, but I couldn't kill him. That happened a few times as well.
I think that happened once. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was one of those weird moments for sure. But yeah, like overall, the open world just kind of it looks very samey, right? Like it's
I was thinking because like older Halo titles, like for example Halo 2 and 1, they always had snow levels and stuff like that. And Halo 1 had
Yeah.
that beach level.
silent
I think
cartographer. Yeah.
cartographer, yeah, exactly. So we would have some kind of variation in that regards too, but it's just level 2 of Halo CE. That's all we get.
Yeah, that's all we get. It's like
And the installments all look like I guess Halo 2 when you are inside the Halo ring.
yes.
It looks basically like that the whole time. There's no variation at all.
There's no variation whatsoever. Like a lot of the interiors from like Halo 2 and when you go into like the tunnels and stuff like that in the Arrival on Halo for the first game, like it all just looks like that with a mix of some of the stuff from the 4th level in the first game, which was the Assault on the Control Room, I believe it was called, which is a snow level.
Yeah, where you're inside. It looks all metallic. Yeah, exactly.
That was basically this game in terms of like environmental variety. It was just that for the most part. And it just wasn't a lot of variety there. And it got worse towards the end when you were constantly inside and that was all you were seeing.
It was really dragging towards the end.
Yeah.
Especially on my second playthrough, I noticed that whole core seed mechanic or whatever it's called, energy seeds.
Oh yeah.
That is wasted time.
Yeah.
What is that even?
Yeah, like when you get towards the end and it's just like, oh, here we got one more segment for you to do with the energy seeds or the power seeds they called them.
Power seeds, that's what it was.
Yeah, and it was like, why? What was this? This was an unnecessary roadblock for me getting towards the end of the game, which I'm already.
There's one especially, like one towards the end. It's like a door's closed.
Yeah.
The thing is like maybe 10 meters away. Like,
yeah.
What is it, 20 feet? Something like that? That's nothing.
It was like, wait, why did you do this? I'm already at the end. I can already tell I'm at the end of the game. This was unnecessary. But yeah, there was a lot of that towards the end of the game for sure. The interior areas, once you've seen one, you've basically seen them all at that point.
Yeah.
So yeah, overall, there was a pretty noticeable lack of environmental variety for sure. And I wonder, like for a game that's been in development for that long, like what happened there? I guess.
Yeah, you gotta wonder. In my opinion, there should have been way more variety. I guess the game should have been longer too, which is kind of contradictory towards the game dragging at the end. But it should have been longer because it only dragged that much because it was just the same environment the whole time.
Yes. I was getting ready to ask you that. I'm like, do you think that was the case because everything just looked the same at the end of the day? And I think you're right. I think you're right.
I wish the game would have been longer too.
Yeah, like I wish it were longer. Even if it did drag towards the end, but I think what would have mitigated that was variety in the environments.
100%.
100%. Yeah, I absolutely agree on that for sure. But speaking about the end of the game, let's talk a little bit about the story. Now, you and I have talked a little bit about this on Discord after we both finished the game about a week or two ago. But now's our time to really dive into the things we liked and didn't like about the story. So just to kind of set the premise for this, basically this game without a doubt takes place after Halo 5. It was kind of a big question about whether or not they're just, rebooting the franchise and this is going to be what Halo is going forward, or, is this some kind of like offshoot story or whatever that might be. But no, you learn very early on that this takes place after Halo 5 for sure. The Banished are back. The Banished were enemies that you face in Halo Wars 2. And even the one of the leaders of the Banished returns from Halo Wars 2 as well, which is Atriox. And the game kind of kicks off with the UNSC Infinity getting attacked by the Banished at some point, because basically the idea now is that because the flood is gone, supposedly, the UNSC are basically on a charge to decommission the remaining Halos. That was their job essentially. In the process of stumbling upon Zeta Halo, they were also attacked by the Banished, and the ship was destroyed. Master Chief, he fought Atriox and lost. The Master Chief, of all people, fought against Atriox and lost, and the UNSC was destroyed.
Wrecked.
He got fucking destroyed. He got fucking wrecked, and he was thrown out into space to float forever, basically. And the Infinity was destroyed, and that's kind of how the game kind of kicks off, basically.
I got a fanboy theory here.
Yeah, go for it.
Once you face them, maybe in a DLC or in Halo 7, whatever it's going to be called, it might be a co-op thing.
I wonder, dude.
Arbiter against Atriox.
That'd be kind of dope, actually.
That would be dope. That would be dope.
That would be dope.
I just thought of that.
So, I guess we'll kick this thing off. Like, what did you think about the story? What did you like and didn't like about it?
That's a hard one, to be honest. Because for the most part, I did not like it. What did I like, though?
Explain yourself, sir. Explain yourself.
What did I like? I gotta think about it. I guess I liked the premise about of arriving on Zeta Halo because it's such a lore rich place.
Yeah.
And there's tons of potential that could go on here. I kind of like the whole plot with the Endless being released at the end of the game.
Yes.
Which sets off probably like a few DLC. There's going to be apparently a DLC called the Endless in the future.
Oh, and really? Maybe, I didn't hear about that. Whoa, shit.
That.
Okay.
I watched a video on it the other day.
Oh.
So yeah, there's going to be that probably, and maybe another game. Probably, I guess they're going to milk this game.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Big franchise.
Yeah, I believe they said it's going to be a live service game, so expect a lot of DLC in the future for sure. Yeah.
So we definitely will be facing the Endless at some point, which is interesting because it's a new species probably, or maybe related to Forerunners somehow. We'll find out, I guess. So that is very interesting as a premise. I did not really care for the Banished too much, to be honest. It was interesting seeing them, but they were not too interesting as a character. It was basically, once you heard one dialogue from, what was he called? Not Atriox, the other guy.
Escharum.
Escharum, exactly. Once you heard one dialogue from him, you heard all of them. He was basically just repeating himself in this epic voice and this whatever that was. I don't know. He didn't feel too interesting. His boss fight was dope, but the story was a bit lackluster. Especially what bugged me the most was the only thing that interested me about Halo Guardians was that whole ending with Cortana having this Guardian army.
Yeah,
and basically just being a menace to the whole galaxy, universe, whatever. You find out in this game that she actually just wrecked humanity, basically. The headquarters in, what was it, in Sydney?
Oh, yeah, I think it was Sydney, Australia.
She just wrecked them with Guardians.
Yeah.
So she is a big threat to everyone. And they just off-screen her in this game.
Yeah, I was going to say, or she was, until they just basically was like, oh, by the way, she's already gone.
They just do an ass pull like that because I was super curious about how they're going to do this in this game, how they're going to implement this.
Yeah.
There's got to be a big fight against Guardians or whatever, against Cortana somehow. Maybe she has allies or whatever, and you got to fight them. Like something, a big battle. I was expecting something like that, but she was just off-screen. Like, you find out half the game, basically, you have to retrace your steps, find out what happened. Like in the 6 months before the Chief got found by the pilot, and like Chief knows this. Why do we have to find out? Like, we should know this already as well. Like, this is I don't like the premise in that regard.
Yeah.
Maybe because the weapon doesn't know, and she is kind of like, we kind of see like the story through her eyes, I guess, in that regards. So it makes sense to that regard, to that extent, but it's a hard one. I don't know. The weapon is a cool character, even though she in my opinion, doesn't really fit the Halo universe. Same with the pilot. Like they're a bit too quirky in my opinion because
Ah,
everyone in
yeah.
Halo is like talking like this way. Like everything has weight behind it. Everything has meaning. Like the Arbiter talks. Like Eshram talks. Like everyone talks like that. Hey, Chief talks. Has one-liners basically. So
Yeah.
everything has some weight behind it, right? And like the Marines are for the most part super serious. Maybe there's some banter here and there, but the only like species before that that actually goofed was the grunts. That was all right, but now we have the pilot who is just basically freaking out the whole time, and the weapon. Like I don't mind it, but I don't think it fits the whole theme.
Like you to basically the surmise, like you feel like it needs to be in a world where everything is serious and somewhat dark when you think about the overall concept of what Halo
Exactly.
is.
Exactly.
Like
They are
this,
just too comical.
yeah, like they're like a weird contrast of like quirky comedy added into something that probably seems weird with it mixed in there, having been this way for so long. I think I get where you're coming from on this for sure. Yeah.
As I said, I don't really mind it. It's not that I hate it, but I think it doesn't really fit.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm kind of a bit let down like in the regards to the story because there's not much going on as well. Like as I said, like half the game you retrace your steps to find out what happened,
Mm-hmm.
and then you find the Harbinger at the end. And before that, you save the pilot that got kidnapped by Asherim.
Yeah.
And that is basically the whole game.
Yeah, pretty much. Like when you boil down the story of Infinite, it is kind of retracing Cortana's footsteps to find out what happened, saving the pilot, taking care of Escherum's elite guard, essentially, and then saving the pilot and killing Escherum and then killing Harbinger. They could boil down the game overall to just to that, essentially. You kind of learn a little bit about Halo, the Zeta Halo as you go on. Like you find like Forerunner artifacts, like those weird rings that you can find.
Yeah, you could scan them.
What I don't know if you noticed this as well, but talking about the Guardians, did you notice the downed Guardian on Zeta Halo?
Yeah, not myself. Like, oh, I actually noticed it, but I didn't recognize it as a Guardian. Then I got recommended a YouTube video that actually showed it off, and like the title was, "Oh, there's a Guardian on Zeta Halo," and I was like, "Oh shit!" And yeah, it was kind of not hard to miss.
Yeah.
So
Like
uh,
I saw it pretty early on too. I'm like, dude, is
you
that a
just gotta like make the connections in your head, basically.
yeah? Because I was looking around the environment when I first came out there, and I'm just like, yo, is that a Guardian in the distance? Can we go there? Can we go check that out? You can't go there at all.
That is another aspect that I don't like about the open world. I forgot
Yeah.
to mention this. The game claims to be open world, but there's lots of restrictions in this. It's basically just open areas,
Yeah.
and
Look,
they are kind of like secluded, so you cannot really. Even though you could technically, you can't access the other area because there's an invisible wall just
yes.
holding you
Yeah.
back. I tried several times with the grappling hook to just jump over the cliffs and just yeet myself over it with it, but
It won't let
yeah,
you.
there's this invisible wall. It doesn't let you.
It won't let you. I tried doing that as well, and I guess like for me, because you're right, like it's not open world. I think an appropriate term, and people can correct me if I'm wrong on this. I think an appropriate term would be to call it like quasi open world, pseudo open world, where it gives off the impression of trying to be open world, but there's still a lot of limits and restrictions that keep you from exploring wherever you want to, basically. And you don't really get that freedom until the end of the game, basically. And when you think about the concept,
Not even then completely. If I tried once, I don't know if it was after I beat the game, but to fly over with, I think it was a Waspir or a Banshee, to fly over to the part where the House of Reckoning is. Because I wanted to explore that mountains and stuff like that, because the map was a bit bigger. It was
yeah,
not just that road you get on and then the House of Reckoning, it was a bit bigger. I
yeah.
wanted to check out what was there. The game wouldn't let me.
I wonder if they're holding that back for DLC.
Let's still be able to explore. It's open world.
Like,
Especially after we beat the game.
I know what you mean, but I'm just like, why would? Yeah, because there is a lot of extra space over there before you go to the Citadel that you can clearly see on the map that should be accessible, but is somehow not. So yeah, that is weird. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm like, maybe that's gonna be DLC at some point. And I also thought it was weird because, like I said, you see that down Guardian in the distance, and it's like you can't go there. But there something has to happen with that. They wouldn't just put that guardian there for nothing, right?
I think it was just to show off. Oh yeah, Cortana just lost here. She got wrecked, which doesn't make sense to be honest. But whatever. It's I guess it was just to show off. Yeah, the spell went on. This is like the thing that remained. Yeah.
Yeah. And
I don't
I
like
mean,
that
that could be
story.
the case, but yeah. I mean, yeah, look, I totally agree with the idea of like the Cortana being handled essentially off screen. Like you learn about how things went down, but by the time you actually get to Zeta Halo and you meet the weapon, she's basically like, "Oh yeah, I did that by the way. She's gone now. I took care of that. Now what? I'm supposed to be decommissioned, supposed to be deleted now because my job is done, which was to stop Cortana. That's done now, so go ahead and delete me." So you basically get the gist that Cortana's gone at the start of the damn game, right? So, and I was trying to figure out if I wanted to either play through a section with that or like a flashback or something, but I'm not quite sure. Like, I don't know if I want to sit there and do a bunch of flashbacks to find out what happened with Cortana, I guess. Even though you do get a bunch of flashbacks as you play through the game, right? Towards the end, especially.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's what I want if they do decide to give you a broader picture of what happened with Cortana, I guess. Yeah.
In my opinion, they should have. Maybe they planned this and they didn't have enough time or something like that. But
It
they
could have
should
been.
have let us play the first 6 months when this whole thing with the Infinity went on and it's a battle against Atriox.
Ah, yeah.
Make you play that.
Yeah.
And then lose, and then like 6 months later we get this time skip.
Yeah.
That would have been a better way to handle the situation.
I think I agree with that. Like I would have wanted to not only to see more of the Infinity, right? Like as you're on the Infinity in Halo 4. You get little bits and pieces of that in that game, but you don't really get a chance to like see the Infinity for what it is. Yeah, I think they should have let you like play that section where the Infinity is getting attacked and destroyed and you fight Atriox and you lose. That would have been great, right? That would have been a great way to kick off the game. So yeah, I agree with that 100%. I guess to boil down the story between the pilot, the weapon, and Chief, starting with the Master Chief, like, in my opinion, the story of this game kind of felt like, or at least Chief's story in this game was basically a means to him learning to let go of OG Cortana. And I say that because throughout the story, there were moments, like especially towards the middle of the game, where you could tell Chief didn't quite trust the weapon.
Yeah, because he had this experience with Cortana already, and he went through all that stuff with her.
Yeah.
So he basically was scared of it happening again with the weapon.
Yeah, it almost seems like he felt sort of responsible for what was going on because he didn't complete his mission the way he was supposed to by one, saving Cortana, and two, saving humanity. He felt like he was responsible for that. So he was very quick to be the one to try to delete the weapon whenever he felt like she wasn't doing what she was supposed to. I do think a lot of the Chief's part of the story was him just coming to terms with allowing himself to trust someone else, like the weapon, for example, and him eventually letting go of Cortana, which obviously they kind of allude to him doing that by the time we reach the end of the game, right?
Yeah. It was like this whole goodbye moment they had.
Yeah.
Basically, Cortana recorded memories, and that was that.
What I didn't like was how OG Cortana just came to this sudden realization that everything she did was wrong and she changed her mind. That didn't seem right to me at all. And even worse was the fact that it was all handled again off screen up until that point. So that felt like a missed opportunity as well. And Atriox, right? Like, he's not dead. And all three.
Yeah, he's not dead.
He's not dead. And
all was obvious from the start, though.
Yeah, and I was saying that even through my streams. Like, people can go back and check those streams out from the beginning. I was constantly saying, Atriox is not dead. He's not dead. He's got to come back. He's not dead. I kept saying that up until the end of the game, which come to find out, no, he's not dead. Because that would have been a missed opportunity as well to have a major character from the Banished be killed off in a ship like that so easily. But I wouldn't have put it past them to do that, considering what they did with Cortana, right?
Oh God, don't jinx it. Next thing you're gonna know is they're gonna off-screen Atriox as well.
He's gonna get killed by the Endless when they come back, and it's like, oh, now Atriox is dead, so there you go. So yeah, it just
Then the Endless get off-screen too.
that'd be fucked up. So yeah, it was like a bunch of missed opportunities in that game for sure. And while I didn't necessarily hate the story overall, it kind of felt unfinished in more ways than one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it felt very unfinished, and maybe that has to do with the fact that it's a live service game. It's hard to say, but overall, when the credits rolled on that, I was just like, wait, that's it? That's where we're stopping? Really?
Yeah, the game definitely feels like it was maybe towards the halfway point, and then something else would happen, but then it's just over.
Yeah, it's just over. Like you kill Harbinger, and then you get teleported to some new place and kind of find out you were gone for like 3 days and didn't realize it. And then you get on the ship with the pilot, and they're just like, all right, let's go back and take care of the Banished on Halo. We'll see you guys then. Bye. It was like, oh, okay. Thinking about it now, I'm going to say this. This ending felt akin to the Inuyasha ending before the final cut happened. Where they were just
I
like,
don't remember that anymore.
they were just like, oh yeah, thanks for watching us for all these years. We're gonna keep hunting Naraku, but until then, see ya, bye.
Oh God, I completely forgot about that.
That's kind of what this ending felt like.
The thing is, I never really finished Inuyasha back then until that point, and like I read the manga in like 2010 or something like that, I think.
Yeah.
And then it was already completed.
Oh,
and
man.
then I rewatched the anime when it was like when everything was released, so I could just binge it basically. So I didn't have that horrible moment where you have to like wait maybe 10 years for the finale.
Dude, that was the worst. I was watching on Adult Swim, and I've been watching it for years up to that point because I had a real affinity for that anime. And then when they pulled that shit on that episode, I was just like, what is this? What do you mean you're going to keep hunting for Naraku? What do you mean thank you for watching? What's happening next? And then it just went back to that first episode again. I was like, oh my God, you didn't just do this. You didn't just do this. So yeah, I would like the feeling I got towards the end of Halo Infinite was kind of akin to the feeling I got to how they did that shit in the anime. I was just like, wait, what? I spent all this time for you to kill Harbinger. Obviously, it's very clear that it's essentially released the Endless. Because her plan to do that.
It wasn't her. I think it was Atriox in the last cutscene.
Yeah, but she was assured that the plan that she had to do that had already happened. Because when you finally defeat her, she says, oh, and tell them sorry it took so long. It's like,
yeah, true.
And it's like, oh yeah, well, what do you mean by who are you apologizing to? Obviously, so it was kind of like that. And it was like, dude, okay, so obviously the Endless are coming back. We were gone for 3 days, don't know how or why. What happened since then? Cortana's like, oh yeah, well, you know, the chief's like, well, I can't keep calling you the weapon. So what do you want to call yourself? And of course, she leaves that open-ended as well. Got a pretty good feeling about what she's going to call herself, but still, you know, could be wrong.
Cortana as well.
Yeah, it's like she's going to call herself Cortana. We could be wrong about that, but it's obvious, right? Honestly, this game felt like it was 343 hitting the reset button.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, like trying to...
like that's when the beginning said it's not really a reboot.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of is in a way.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, they off-screen Cortana and all that. They just said "fuck you" to everything that happened in Halo 5.
Yeah.
Locke is basically, or Locke, whatever he's called, is probably dead. Like one of those chieftains you fight. I think it was like called the Spartan Hunter Crew, something like that.
Yes.
One of them has his helmet on his shoulder plate.
Yeah. So, are you ready for this, Penguin?
Here it comes. What is it?
So there's a company out there called Mega Constructs. They make toys.
Oh God.
They make Halo Infinite. They make Halo toys. One of the new toys that came out is named Agent Locke.
Okay, he's not dead.
It's named Agent Locke, and basically it is him outside of his armor. Basically, that's him. So he's not dead, but he's no longer in his Spartan armor anymore. Basically.
Oh man.
There's also another leak from them that about something. I forgot what it was called. Hold on, let me pull this up. I'm on the computer already, guys. Hold on. The Mega Constructs company has been leaking a lot of Halo shit. They've got a partnership with them, so there's a lot of stuff coming out from them in regards to Halo for sure. But there's also toys for Decimus, which is part of the Banished as well. I'm guessing, as the detail says, it says, designed as he appears in Halo Infinite.
Have we seen him yet?
I don't think we have.
I
could be wrong.
So either.
I could be wrong about that, but yes. Unless he's
maybe he was one of those targets.
Yeah, he might have been one of the targets.
Pay attention to what the names, but he was not in the main story.
Definitely. Yeah, for sure. So Decimus is there, and I think there was the Light of Sanghelios. Now, for those of you who are unaware, Sangheli are the name of the race of the elites in Halo Infinite, or in Halo General. So there's this figure of a white elite with this really elaborate helmet and a staff or a spear, and
that's new.
And it also says as he appears in Halo Infinite, which he was not in the game that we played so far. Let's put it that way.
Spoilers for a DLC then.
Possibly, yeah. So we're probably going to see these characters, including Locke, again at some point in the future for whatever DLC they have. But yeah, apparently Locke is not dead so far.
Maybe they'll off-screen him.
Don't say don't. Oh shit!
Would you mind though?
Honestly, probably not. I mean, I really didn't care. Personally, I didn't really care for Spartan Locke that much, if I'm being honest. I think I cared more about Blue Team, which was Chief's Spartan team that he had in 5. I think I care more about them than I cared anything about Oni team for Spartan Locke, honestly. So yeah, we'll see how that goes in the future. But yeah, I guess to kind of draw this thing to a close, like overall thoughts: did you hate the game? Did you love the game? Do you still want to see more? Do you want to know what's happening next?
I mean, I would say I wouldn't want to know what's happening next. I definitely will play the DLCs when they come out. I will definitely be back for the co-op. That is going to be amazing, probably.
Hopefully.
If they pull it off right, I hope.
Like, fingers crossed.
I guess like the whole open world stuff, like the side missions that are super repetitive, will be super fun in co-op because you can just goof around and stuff. So that's hopefully going to be really good. But so far, I kind of got mixed feelings about the campaign. Like the gameplay is amazing; it's super fun. But as I said, the story was it was a letdown to me personally. Maybe they will switch it around with the DLCs. We'll have to find out. But so far, I'm not too happy with how it went.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. Like I didn't. I guess I'm not too down on the story, but I do think
maybe I was just expecting too much. Maybe it was just too much hype.
I think it might have been too much hype, but then again, it was like I think this might be an issue with the gaming industry overall. Like I understand the desire to want to tell these more emotional, gripping stories, these more relatable stories, but I end up asking myself, is that what I come to Halo for?
Was that a pun?
No, it actually wasn't. It actually wasn't, but shit, now that you mention it.
That was pretty emotional.
Oh man. It's like, is that, but yeah, it's like, is that what I'm coming to Halo for at the end of the day? Like, do I care about that to that extent, I guess?
I want to say something real quick before I forget it.
Yeah, go for it.
Halo Infinite, that goodbye scene with Cortana and the Chief.
Mm-hmm.
It was the Wish version of Halo 4's goodbye scene.
Oh, you mean the end scene of Halo 4?
Yeah, that was way better.
Yeah,
even though people have mixed feelings about that game, I enjoyed it. I liked the story in that one. Especially that ending.
I think people just have mixed feelings about the gameplay in 4. I think people still enjoy the story.
I can see that. Like
Yeah.
the ammo was super low in every weapon.
Yeah.
They always had to like switch after killing one person, basically.
Yeah, it was like I think the gameplay part is what people had the most contention about when it came to 4. But I think story, I think we all agree that we enjoyed Halo 4's story for sure.
But it like the whole Cortana chief aspect felt weak in this game, especially compared to Halo 4.
Yeah, only because you don't really see them interact with each other at all. Like you get those like recordings of Cortana basically mysteriously coming to terms with what she's done and wants to repent for that. And it was like, okay,
after blowing up a whole planet,
yeah, destroying the Brute home world, like what?
Massacring humanity, basically.
Destroying the UNSC HQ, destroying a Brute home world, and suddenly out of nowhere, she's like, "Oh, I made a mistake. Chief, forgive me.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry." It's just like that wasn't earned. That wasn't earned. Yeah.
Quick question: how did you like the animation?
So I know people have talked about this quite a bit as well, and this was an issue in 5, but the animation looks a little weird, right?
Faces are off for me.
Yeah, a lot like the performance capture, the animation in the face and stuff like that. Yeah,
yes,
where the mouse moving at like a really weird frame rate.
I think it was most noticeable with the two Cortanas.
Yeah,
it just looked weird to me.
I think so. I think part of that has to do with the fact that they're definitely using a lot more performance capture for one. So you kind of see this mishmash of the actors' faces being merged into different character designs, and that looks a little bit weird. But also on top of the fact that they had this like and I think that might be due to the them trying to cut back on VRAM usage, but the animation and facial expressions and stuff like that, or animations and character movements where it's like a really stuttery and really low framey. I think in the PC version that might be a bug. But I'm pretty sure on the console version, that's just a thing that is just a thing to cut back on memory usage and stuff like that. They could probably patch that out in the Series X version, but yeah, I honestly don't think that was intentional for the higher end versions of that game, like the PC version and the Series X version. I'm hoping they fix that and patch that out for in future patches, because it looks weird to see that animation being so low frame rate, especially in faces, where the mouths are moving at like this 30 frame per second clip. It just doesn't look right.
It feels off.
It feels very off for a game, especially if you're playing it at a high frame rate, which I was.
I was too. I set everything on low just to play at 60 frames.
Yeah, and to see like that movement. Yeah.
For some reason, like in interior, like in installations, I could run high settings with 60 frames, sort of. But then when the open world finally revealed, like after the first person, I was like, "Oh, this is going to shit." I have like single-digit frames.
I had the game like almost maxed out for the most part, and in interiors, it was running great. But when I got outside, oh man, like the dynamic resolution stuff kicked in big time. But even then, like trying to get like a decent like lot 60 FPS, it was like, ugh. Sometimes it might get there, but most of the time it was hovering at like maybe 40 to 50. So, and to be fair, I think Digital Foundry had done an analysis on this in the game. While the PC port is good, it could still use some optimization work. So perhaps they'll get to that point where they iron those issues out in the future before the whatever DLC they have planned comes up. Hopefully. Yeah. But yeah, so overall, concluding thoughts. Anything else you want to add about this before we wrap up?
Magic moment, Halo theme kicking in at the road.
Yes, that was a good moment.
That was a good as moment.
Yes,
it was like, oh yes, this is how I wanted this Halo to be.
And
I wish there was more moments like that in the game, though. Another
question: did you like using the Wraiths or the Scorpion tank more?
Scorpion.
Same.
The ballistics on the Wraith felt weird.
It felt weird, man.
I was missing the whole time.
Yes. So, okay, it's not just me. All right. So, maybe it's just me being bad at this game. For the reason why I can't nail shots with this stupid thing.
It used to be easier in the older games. I didn't have that much trouble back then. And this game, I was missing the whole time with the Wraith.
Same. I could not. Like, I was struggling.
The Banshee, like, flying felt weird, too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It was like flexible, but in a negative way.
Yes.
Like it was, I don't know what it was. I prefer the Wasp way more.
Oh yeah, same. Like the ability to lock on missiles and stuff like that in the Wasp, like 10 out of 10, 100%.
Even the Gatling gun, I felt better.
Yeah, it did. Like I did not like flying the Banshee in this game whatsoever. Like the alien vehicles overall, I just did not.
The ghosts are alright. That's basically
Yeah, because you use the banished choppers, right? You try using those.
Oh god, those were horrible.
Like even in multiplayer, I couldn't use them.
Like those two chieftains,
Yeah.
the Spartan killers. That took me ages because I was always trying to get on this vehicle and drive it, and I got caught driving because I just ran into everything.
That
Even though it's open space there.
That fight was a nightmare for me because the increased damage that I would get sometimes. Like I would,
heroic was a mess.
Yeah, it was a mess, and I would hijack his and kick him out of it, and then he would immediately turn around and just start shooting. What is that gun called? That one that shoots out the red energy shots.
Plasma? No, Weaver? Was it Weaver? Plasma Weaver?
The Reaver?
Weaver.
Maybe
I think it was Plasma Weaver, something like that.
Something like that. But yeah, he would get out and then he would turn around and then he would shoot those shots at a rapid clip before I could even drive away. And he would blow up the vehicle immediately.
And she can fucking shoot from afar. He can snipe with that. It's crazy.
It was like, this fight is stupid. On heroic, this fight is real dumb. So that took me a while to get past that fight too because of that shit.
The worst fight in the game though is against that target that's in a wraith.
Oh yeah, yeah. I know what you're talking about.
That one was on normal. It was a mess already. I didn't play it on heroic. I just skipped that quest.
I did that shit on heroic. Yeah.
Oh god.
Yeah. It's weird because it's like, okay, in the previous games before 4, like you could jump on the back of a wraith, punch it a few times, and it's done. Or you can jump in front of it.
You just heat a grenade into it and then you just leave.
Yeah.
And that's it.
But in this game, you do that shit. It doesn't even, like, it barely takes damage. You can throw a grenade inside of it and it barely takes damage from the grenade.
I did it 3 times and it was still not there.
Yeah. It was like, what happened here? Why is this not blowing up? And on heroic, it was like I threw a grenade in. It was like no damage. I jumped off of it and it was still going. It was, that fight sucked. Fighting Wraiths in that game, if you were not in a Scorpion tank, fighting Wraiths in that game, not fun. Not fun.
Same with Hunters.
Yeah. Oh, dude, don't get me started on Hunters.
They used to be pushovers back in the day, but in this game, they actually are a menace.
They are.
Especially heroic. One just like one-shot at me in the House of Reckoning. I was like, what is this? It took me like 20 minutes, something like that, to fight them, to kill one. And then the other one just shoots me once when I try to run into the building in the middle. And I'm just dead after one shot.
I had that same issue as well when I was playing with the when you get towards the end of the game and they lock you in that one room with 2 of them.
Yeah. Oh, like inside installation?
Yeah,
that was horrible.
They lock you inside the room with 2 of those motherfuckers, and I had died so many times trying to play it safe around them to the point where I just said fuck it, and I got super aggressive with trying to go around them and shoot them in the back the whole time. Somehow that worked. Me being aggressive is what got me to kill them faster than playing it safe.
The only time I fought them, it was easy, was like the first time I really engaged them close quarters, because the first time I engaged them I was in a vehicle and it was easy from afar for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
But then like when I fought them close quarters, I just yeeted over them with the jetpack. Is it jetpack? The launcher thingy, the ability. What was it called?
With the grapple?
No, not the grapple. The other one, the booster.
I'm trying to think about which one that is. Shit.
It's the last ability you got. The one that actually like lets you evade and stuff.
Oh, the thruster.
Yeah, the thruster, exactly.
Okay, yeah.
So somehow I managed to actually just thrust over his head and then just hit him into the back with the pistol.
Oh,
like
nice.
The upgrade one.
Yeah.
That worked once. Never again it worked. And I was like, oh, I thought this was okay. They're easy. They're pushovers again. Fuck this. And then they just oh god.
They destroy you.
The fights were not fun. They destroy you every time.
They destroy you every time, and it's always 2 of them every single time. Yep. And it is the absolute worst. And I'm super looking forward to doing that on Legendary for sure.
No, I'm not. That will be the worst.
I am absolutely looking forward to that without a doubt. But yeah, That was
Have fun with them spamming the plasma shots
oh
and
my
then just killing you from afar.
dude, on legendary, it's like when your shield is gone, it takes like maybe one shot, maybe two to kill you after that.
I imagine they can kill you with one shot in legendary on a
Yeah.
consecutive basis.
Oh yeah. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. What I will say is that I found like a weird meta in that game where that electric pistol,
The
that
disruptor?
the disruptor, that thing is fucking OP, dude. Anything that doesn't have
I
a shield,
barely used it.
anything that doesn't have a shield, you just unload shots into it and it dies so fucking fast.
I should have used it more, probably.
Yeah, that
It
gun
got
is
used against me a lot when I was in a vehicle. That was super annoying.
that's super annoying in vehicles. But yeah, anything that doesn't have a shield, like I was running a combo where I was using a plasma weapon to strip away shields and then using the disruptor to kill them quickly. Like it's a nasty combo when you get the hang of it, dude.
So, was that the weapon combo you used the most?
I didn't adapt to that combo until like the end of my heroic playthrough when I realized how effective it actually was. But for the most part of the game, I was using I think I was using like the BR, the battle rifle,
That
and
was good.
and I think the commando. I kind of ran those a lot for a while. Up until we
I
got
didn't like the commando too much, to be honest.
I liked the upgraded version of the commando. I thought that was better.
I never used that.
That and the upgraded bulldog as well, where it says it has like a choke on it and the shots do more damage and they go further too. That is a nasty combo as well. But yeah,
I basically used like at the beginning I used the mangler a lot because I found that weapon OP.
Yeah.
It, like took 2 shots, maybe 1 shot for most enemies.
Yeah.
If you placed him well. And then I found the sidekick to be working very well too.
Yeah, that pistol
Like,
is real
like
good.
a small version of the mangler, basically, just reaching further. And then basically BR all the way and upgraded psychic. That was my thing.
Yeah, that's what I was doing as well, up until it wasn't doing any damage to the hunters. And then,
Yeah, those are something else.
yeah, and that's when I started using the disruptor and stuff like that. And I was like, actually, this combo is not bad. I'm gonna keep using this. Like it was melting chieftains easily. When their shields are gone, you just keep shooting the disruptor at them. Like I was melting chieftains with gravity hammers easily before they could even touch me.
The best weapon I found for the chieftains, even though like the ammo consumption is ridiculous in that game, was the Sentinel Beam.
That's a good one too. Yeah, that thing is also OP as well, dude. There's a few gun like the weird. There's a bit of a meta with the guns you use in that game on higher difficulties, which I think is kind of weird though because like Halo predicates itself on you having weapon variety, but the minute you start funneling players into specific types of weapons to use to get through it, that's when all that shit goes out the window.
Yeah, there's definitely a few weapons that are not viable in this game. Like
Yeah.
my favorite in the older games, the plasma pistol, it sucks in this game.
Yes, absolutely.
It is totally garbage.
It is absolute trash. I totally agree with that.
And like I think they did that in 4, starting in 4, right? The plasma guns, like it's now a rifle, but it's not as good as those that you could dual wield back in the day in Halo 2.
Oh yeah, the
purple
storm
ones?
rifle. The storm rifle is what it's called. Yeah.
Yeah, those were amazing back in the day, but this game kind of sucks too.
Yeah. It was like Halo 4 kind of did away with that, I guess. They made it suck. And they kind of stuck with that going forward. Like this new trilogy of games so far, like they killed a lot of the really good weapons, the things that made those weapons good.
Kind of sucks.
Yeah, it does kind of suck. But yeah, all right. Well, we intended this to go for about 30 minutes, but it turned into an hour still at the end of the day, but that's okay.
I mean, it's Halo.
Yeah. As Halo fans, it's just going to happen. It's going to happen. So, but no, this was a good discussion. So yeah. Anything else you want to say before we get out of here, Penguin?
No, I think we covered most of it.
All right, cool.
We'll definitely redo this once Mika has played the game.
Absolutely. You'll be able to listen to that one on the Cup of Sass podcast for sure, which you can check out. We got a YouTube channel for it as well. You can check out Cup of Sass. I think it's just Cup of Sass. Maybe Cup of Sass podcast. I think it's Cup of Sass. I'll leave a link to that in the description of this one if you want to check out that other podcast. But this will be up on YouTube for those that want to take a look at and listen to this as well. For those that have played the game, obviously there's spoilers in this, of course, but it's going to be called the Spoilercast. You should get that ahead of time. Anyways, hopefully you guys enjoy listening to this. If you have any thoughts, questions, comments, concerns, be sure to list them in the comments below. We're checking those out. But in the meantime, Penguin, thank you for joining me, sir. I know this one was the timing was weird because I missed that first window for doing a different recording, but I'm glad you still had the time to do this one instead. So I
It's all
appreciate it.
good. Today's the last day I got time though. Now it's Christmas days,
Yeah.
so
Glad we got this out of the way
no
ahead of
stuck with
time.
family and all that shit.
All right, man. I'll talk to you again soon. You take care.
Take care.
All right.